As you can tell, it's the 10th anniversary of NTMA Productions. We started it 10 years ago with the dump a video. And that's what we did.
And then we kept dumping them.
And then 10 years later, now we're going to do the Stalked by My Doctor 5-pill trilogy.
Pentology.
We're going to do the Stalked by My Doctor pentology.
Tell me about the voices.
There's nothing really to tell. I mean, they're just voices.
Coffee and Sprite.
My girlfriend is making us shots. Oh, we're doing.
I was just getting started. The coffee and Sprite was a bad idea on my part. I didn't realize.
I was expecting the shot to be coffee and Sprite. I'm like a weird play, but it might work.
No,
pretty good. Anyways, yesterday we binged 5 Stalked by My Doctor movies for the 10th anniversary Drunkview special. All 5 of fan favorite Eric Roberts. And in this video we'll reminisce about good things of the past 10 years, like Billy the Blue Ranger.
Billy is able to cyber hack his ankle that he gets for jerking off a cow.
Yep.
The time me and Joey fought over a scooter.
Boxer. Well, no, they get married literally the last day of the movie. Yeah.
You guys know what I just realized?
What?
This scooter is a Spider-Man scooter.
Is it really?
Look,
It's a Spider-Man.
I think it's a generic
scooter. It's
Look
probably
at this and then look at those. Look at that and then look at the bottom. So you got
But
Spider-Man.
anyway.
This is not Spider-Man.
Anyway.
This is generic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Give me the scooter so I can play with it.
Yeah, not Spider.
Wolfie's beer corner.
You know, you reach under your seat and a little nip.
So Aiden, what is the plot of Stalked by My Doctor?
Stalked by My Doctor is a Lifetime movie. And as the first movie in the series, it was just a Lifetime movie. So there's a girl who goes into the ICU because she gets in a car crash, and then Eric Roberts is his doctor, and he's moderately creepy.
You do what I say, not because it's what I want, but because you know in your heart that I'm right.
And then he kidnaps her. And the first movie doesn't have any twists or gimmicks. It's like the stock standard Lifetime movie script.
It's the bait. It's the
formative
setup.
Work, like
It's
the Bible.
Yep.
Yeah, Connor, what do you think of Stalked by My Doctor Part 1?
Stalked by My Doctor Part 1, I think it's my least favorite in the series. Eric Roberts probably helped, he at least, I don't know if he dreamed up the idea, but he at least signed on over the idea that he was going to be able to kiss a girl younger than his daughter repeatedly throughout the movie.
Yep.
I think that concept appealed to Eric Roberts because he takes great joy in the movie, and it's one of the only times on one of these like fake movies that Eric Roberts does. He does a lot of like religious movies or whatever the fuck will pay him a couple $100.
No, he'll be in literally anything. That's why he has 850 credits.
91 upcoming credits.
He's the most prolific man to ever exist in Hollywood.
No, but he loves this series. It's a favorite of his. But this is kind of the base standard. It's just, we're talking like 2 years pre-Me Too, so Eric Roberts is having a bunch of dream sequences where he's making out with the girl and then he ties her down.
Yep. He's not even a crazy person in this one.
No,
in the later movies, he's the Joker.
Yeah, because later on, it's like
he's
this
just
man
a moderately creepy old
He
guy.
moderately snaps. He's like, okay, I'm having a really hard time getting a girlfriend, so I want to date an 18-year-old. Of course, there's like a sexual element and some other things, which of course we'll talk about later, but in lore we learn more about it. But at his baseline, Dr. Beck is just looking for love.
He's just a guy.
And he's dreaming about kissing 18-year-olds, which of course Eric Roberts filmed in horrific detail.
Yep. And at one point he breaks into her room and jerks off in her bed.
But it also kind of has this level of like Lifetime movie where it's played fairly straight and you don't really know like is Dr. Beck, like later on Dr. Beck is like a Batman villain in how he's portrayed, like a horny 18-year-old girl-loving Batman villain. But the first movie, his motivations are vague. We know that he likes this girl. Is he generally a pervert, or is this the first time Dr. Beck's done it? The lore is never actually that fleshed out throughout the series, like
It seems like it's more or less the first time, because he's like a well-respected doctor.
Right,
no one has anything bad to say about him.
Well, he works on the cabinet of President Obama.
Yeah, he does. He
Dr.
rewrote the cardiologist handbook.
Yeah, he rewrote the handbook. President Obama loves him. And then he's good doctor goes pervert, is what happens here, and he never recovers.
Stop fighting this. This is for you, all of it. Alex, I'm doing this because I love you.
And as the series spirals down, and there's actually, I also want to point out for this one, there's not much here, but there's a pretty strict Stalked by My Doctor continuity, but also not strict at all.
Yeah.
Some things. The events of Dr. Beck are somewhat strict, and sometimes they're just like fly by the seat of my pants.
Anything else goes.
The victims may or may not return. There's only one example.
Also, notably, the father's essentially the secondary antagonist in this movie.
Oh yeah, because the doctor
he keeps telling his daughter that she's just accusing the nice, innocent old man of things and making it up, and that Dr. Beck should be allowed to jerk off in her bed if he wants.
He's like, yeah, Dr. Beck's just an excited old man. You're just hot or something. And
It's your fault for dressing like a slut at the hospital.
That was quite the scene.
It's like he's a middle schooler and he wants me to help him lose his virginity.
Okay, what do you want me to do? Report him to the AMA?
Yeah, and I think we should get a restraining order.
And ruin this guy's career?
So, Aiden, what are your thoughts on Stalked by My Doctor?
The first movie, I mean, it's just a Lifetime movie. There's not much to say about it. The Lifetime channel...
The really perverted Lifetime movie, basically.
They all are.
Yeah.
Lifetime pumps out hundreds of these a year that are just like, my neighbor sniffs my feet in my sleep, 2, and I jack off too much, 4, and...
The Christmas movies aren't
No, the Christmas movies are like... small town girl or big city girl moves to a small town and meets a hunky farmer.
There was one or two that were
and then the rest
weird.
of the year, outside of like November and December, the rest of the year they're just making like...
What about the Ernie Hudson one where the girl turned out to be like an angel baby and then she got reincarnated or some shit? Or he sent her back to heaven? I don't remember.
Yeah, okay.
It's
The
like
Christmas ones get weird a little bit, but
for
like
Christmas.
Most of their yearly output is just like things that would be really terrifying to a 40-year-old single mother.
Yeah.
Like, I got pregnant in my sleep, or...
Well,
3.
I also want to point out, and as I thought about the movie, I feel like there's a level, and I think this got dropped after the first movie, but I think there's like a fantasy element where it's like, god damn, what if I was 20 again, and what if my 65-year-old doctor wanted to fuck me?
You know, maybe.
I think like Lifetime has that element.
Does
like
sometimes
you
have that element.
You're supposed to think back to your senior year of high school, and you're supposed to think, what if Granddad, with his probably just smells stinky because he's old, was stalking me around, kidnapping me or whatever? Because they almost play it like.
But this movie's fairly grounded. There's nothing like too weird in it. Like there's a couple fantasy sex
in
sequences
terms of Lifetime, I think.
But like in a relative scale, everything that happens in this movie could happen to someone, I guess, in real life.
Yeah.
And probably something like vaguely similar.
Sure, it happens all the time. Maybe not the Obama cabinet. Well, who knows? I bet it's happened. Maybe not specifically Obama, but maybe some creepy health pervert.
Yeah. I don't know. It's grounded. It's kind of just. It's the baseline. It's just a floor to establish how off the rails the series gets later. And you kind of have to watch it lore-wise to enjoy the best movie in the series.
Yeah.
But on its own merits, it's probably the least interesting.
But
the only funny thing about it is that it stars prolific movie actor of 800 films, Eric Roberts.
Yeah. Of The Dark Knight.
Babylon.
Christopher Nolan directed.
Damien Chazelle's Babylon.
Muse. Damien Chazelle's Muse. Christopher Nolan's Muse. He's just
Bigfoot versus D.B. Cooper.
that's it's another classic. Chicks dig gay guys. He showed up for one scene to fuck the guy's wife or whatever, and then he leaves. They're stuck under the bed because they're like pretending to be gay. Or maybe they were gonna have sex with her, and then Eric Roberts comes, and that's his wife or something, and then there's a dramatic sex scene.
He's in like 9 movies about talking cats.
Well, he's also Julia Roberts' brother and Emma Roberts' dad. So.
Yeah, he does a lot of interviews for a man who's not at all famous. He's like maybe the least famous person
because there's 800 movies.
Like if you have a fucking spot in your slate, you can get Eric Roberts. He'll show up.
We should have got Eric Roberts for this video. I wonder if he has a cameo right now.
There's no fucking chance he doesn't. Most Eric Roberts interviews are just him complaining that Julia Roberts doesn't talk to him anymore. Yeah. But then, like, after Babylon, he did an interview where he was like, oh, now we're friends again, or whatever.
Julia Roberts was probably...
And also, I think his daughter, Emma Roberts, also doesn't talk to him.
Why would she? He's made the creepy, I want to have sex with girls younger than my daughter series.
I mean, it's not like her career's doing much better.
Maybe she should take a page out of her dad's book.
She was in fucking Truth or Dare.
It's her mom and dad. It's her mom and dad. Her mom used to be an actress, but is now just Eric Roberts' booking agent. I think she's being exploited like Stan Lee at the end of his life, where she drives him around and he's so like coked out and 65 that he didn't even realize. Then all of a sudden they're like, okay, you're...
He also feels Eric Roberts feels relatively sober in this movie too.
He does.
Which
is
is
first one.
I think in the ones after this, they were the craft table probably had a special section for him.
I wonder if it was he probably had one of those like margarita Slurpee machines on deck.
A margarita Slurpee machine and a little igloo cooler full of Coors Light.
Oh yeah. Or he probably just had a little flask in his pocket with something a little too strong.
I'm sure he always had that on there.
It's like, this is my buddy's moonshine or something like that, you know?
Would you recommend the first Stalked by My Doctor?
This is important because I have different answers for a lot of these.
Oh, sure.
Do I recommend Stalked by My Doctor 1? No. Pass on this one.
It's a mandatory watch, though.
Not for number 3. We couldn't even tell it was the same actress.
We figured it out.
We figured it out later, but like I think you're fine. Like you get the point. 3 specifically, I feel like you could watch any of the movies, get the concept. We'll come back to all this, but I feel like you could watch any of the...
You did it.
What's his name again? Something Roberts?
Eric Roberts. Look up Eric Roberts cameo. I know for a time he was, and then for a time he wasn't, but I've kind of looked like every time we talk about Eric Roberts on the channel, and it's like sometimes he's on cameo, sometimes he's not.
Actor The Dark Knight.
Yep.
It starts at $130. Here's a 4.97 review out of 536 reviews.
So he's pro.
He's a working man. I mean, it's his whole career to just show up in the dumbest shit you've ever heard of.
Anyways, I would recommend... I do think, like, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Even though this one relates the most to Stalked by My Doctor 3, I feel like if you have a concept of what the series is, you do not need to watch this. So I'm going to say, for the merits of Stalked by My Doctor 1 alone, I'm going to pass. So, hey, what do you recommend Stalked by My Doctor?
I'm going to give it a light yes. It's probably the weakest in the series, but I think it establishes the baseline for how off the rails it gets. And it relates to the best movie in the series.
That's true.
But, outside of that, it's definitely the weakest, like, by a substantial amount.
I was gonna say number 2 is the weakest, but I do think there's some plot. There's the big...
I think there's one that competes
the third
with this,
act,
but it's not 2.
Oh, yeah.
There's a competitor.
Alright, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
So, Stalked by My Doctor, The Return is the second entry in the series.
I'll be loud for a second. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Okay, fine, we'll wait. But the crowd's waiting with us. Let's reminisce with this clip of the Logan review where you can't hear the audio because Aiden's a dumbass and neither of us noticed for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
No, that Aiden's balls did appear in one video, but I caught it in time. He was wearing shitty gym shorts and his ball sack slipped
Yeah, I kind of
out
had
for
to
a second.
reuse the shot before.
There was a nut slip. It's kind of like in Game of Thrones when a Starbucks cup is in there that's not supposed to be. And you
Insert
don't
the forbidden Transformers clip.
Oh no, Quasimodo from the.
Quasimodo.
The Quasimodo clip.
You can put any Dark Universe rant in here.
We talk about the Dark Universe a lot.
We're probably the only people who remember it.
We're the archivists of the single movie franchise that is the Dark Universe.
Should probably like aim back on course to talk about the Mummy. So, you want to give some actual thoughts about the Mummy?
Blue Ribbon is old and it's full of bottled water. This is like, hey guys,
No,
there's the introduction to our new universe. And then,
like everybody
Dr.
else.
Dreckle, Mr. Hyde, he's the Nick Fury.
Stalked by My Doctor 2, The Return.
That means we'll always be together.
I can't tell you how happy, how truly happy.
Who are you talking to?
The second one.
And also stars Eric Roberts. Connor, what is the plot of Stalked by My Doctor, The Return?
Stalked by My Doctor, The Return is a similar concept to the first Stalked by My Doctor. A woman is a widow, so she takes her daughter down to Acapulco in Mexico, and the daughter almost drowns, which would have been so tragic to cut her young 18-year-old life short. But thankfully, who is there but Dr. Beck, or played by Eric Roberts, who saves her.
He's on
And
the
then
land
says,
in Mexico.
wow, I mean, that's pretty sexy. Oh, also, it's worth noting he's not been having any women's success with women his age, so he's still kind of into...
he's on the run in Mexico.
He's on the run in Mexico, you know? But anyways, she's like, well, I'm a student in Arizona, and I gotta leave, but you're very nice, Eric Roberts, thanks for saving me. And he says, well... Okay, so then he starts stalking her at school back in America. He came back to the United States to do it again. He takes up an assumed identity as some sort of doctor that was doing something.
Yep.
Oh, he pretended to work for a non-profit. I don't think he was ever a doctor in this one. He was pretending to work for a non-profit. But then he's like, his scheme for this one is he's going to date the 18-year-old's mother so that he can get an in, but then the 18-year-old girl's like, he's like sniffing my panties and jerking off in my bed or whatever, so we gotta deal with this. But the mom's like, it's my boyfriend.
She gets tipped off because he's given like a medical lecture, and then he starts asking her if she's ever orgasmed.
And the more sex you have, the higher your oxytocin level. And the deeper the bond becomes.
Oh, yeah,
and the mom's like, you're just overreacting, you know?
He's like, doctors talk about people, like, just busting nuts all the time. Like, it's totally normal. So then she calls out her uncle, who's in, like, a shitty, like, ska band. And he comes out, and then Eric Roberts actually catches his first body in the series because the uncle caught Eric Roberts in the act of lying. And then
but the uncle likes him at first because he buys his shitty ska song, and the uncle's like, you're a really cool guy.
Yeah, no. Eric Roberts is a confirmed ska fan or just a master manipulator.
So I bought one of your songs off the internet.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
Which one? The one about the gambler and the girl who met on the bus?
Oh, yeah, man.
But he was talking about the lyrics with the guys, and the uncle got charmed. Anyways, he gets married to the mom, and on the honeymoon, he's going to throw her off of a building so that I guess he can take custody of the 18-year-old, despite the fact that she's a grown-ass adult, technically. Technically.
Yeah,
and then but then he's caught. And
also, the building he's going to throw the mom
one,
off of is like a story and a half.
I don't remember what happened in this one. He ran off. He escaped while they were trying to arrest him, and they kind of shrugged.
No, he gets sent to jail.
Oh, he does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's into the plot
the jail
of 3.
guard.
Yeah.
The jail guard starts choking on the Snickers, and he has to save her.
Guys, it's so damn slow. Come here.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and then he gets a favor off of her, right?
And then he winks directly into the camera.
He did. Okay, so that's what happened. It gets kind of confusing. There's a lot of, there's sort of
convoluted.
Every movie's different, but there's sort of a formula. So it's like, did he go to jail? Did he go to Arkham Asylum? Did he fake his death? There's a lot of different ways Dr. Beck is dispatched in these movies.
Yeah.
So anyways, Aiden, what are your thoughts on Stalked by My Doctor 2, The Return?
Stalked by My Doctor, The Return is weirdly convoluted. Beck is a little bit crazier in this one. He has some scenes where he, like, talks to an imaginary therapist on his laptop, and then his daughter, for like 10 minutes, finds him screaming at his blank laptop. So it's the start of the crazy arc, but he's still not fully crazy. They hadn't totally embraced it. This one's a pretty by-the-numbers sequel. And there's some funny moments, like when he's trying to kill the mom, he's going to throw her off like a story-and-a-half building into a lawn. And she'd like maybe break an ankle or something. She probably wouldn't die. And his whole thing is really convoluted and weird. But the Beck shenanigans are definitely up a step from the last time.
They loosen the belt. It's like a lot of those series, like you know, Friday the 13th, for example. You know,
yeah, starts off
part
fairly
2.
normal.
Jason in part 2 is a lot different than Jason Goes to Hell. But you start seeing that progression happen, and the same thing happens with Dr. Beck.
There's some really funny parts in this movie. The uncle just instantly trusting him because he likes his shitty ska band is funny. You know, him yelling at the laptop is kind of entertaining, but it's still pretty by-the-numbers Lifetime stuff. Like, this creepy guy married my mom and wants to adopt me in some convoluted plot.
It's like really full.
The best part of the movie is when he winks at the camera at the end, which is really funny. It's the only time anything like that happens. He saves the prison guard and he's like, "You owe me a favor," and winks at the camera as it zooms out.
Quick fourth wall break, never killed anybody.
The uncle died.
Wow.
He was killed with a needle.
He wasn't killed directly by the fourth wall, though.
No, he was killed with a needle.
That was good.
Ooh.
Matches my blue buzz ball.
That was yummy.
I figured it would actually be a good one for you guys as chasers that you have.
Yeah, 2 is fine. Like, I'm struggling to think of things to actually say about it. It's in the tipping point. It really is the Friday the 13th 2, where they went a step further, but not a step far enough.
Yeah, they're dipping their toes in the water.
It's definitely
totally convoluted.
It's better than the first one, but the plot is really convoluted, and the Eric Roberts shenanigans are just kind of getting their stride.
There's a level of groundedness to this one, just because, you know, technically, and I mean, I'm saying grounded with asterisks. Like, you could get stalked by your doctor, and you could get stalked by your doctor, and then he could try to marry your mom. Wouldn't that be fucked up? But
yeah,
as the movies get more convoluted, they lean more into the fantasy.
There's also a lot of really boring stuff in this movie, especially with the daughter, who has relationship drama because Dr. Beck tells her that she has herpes.
I just got a blood test. You gave me genital herpes. You told me you were a virgin when we did it the first time.
I was a virgin when we did it the first time.
You liar!
Oh,
And
I
she
forgot
breaks
about
up
the
with her
herpes
boyfriend.
subplot.
And like 15 minutes of this 87-minute movie are dedicated to
her and her boyfriend,
talking on the
herpes.
phone and crying and being like, "I'm so sad that I have herpes." And he's like, "You don't have herpes, you fucking idiot." And she's like, "Yeah, I do. Why did Dr. Beck lie?" She even believes the herpes thing when he's like talking about fucking making her orgasm and shit. I don't know.
No, even when she's deeply suspicious of Dr. Beck, she's still taking the herpes thing on face value.
Yeah, no, she really fell for that one. She was hook, line, and sinker.
That was a good play. Dr. Beck.
We get our first kill, which is exciting. A nice little twist on the formula.
Yeah.
And then after he dies, no one ever mentions Uncle Rico.
No, they
again.
mention him at the wedding. They're like, "What happened to Uncle Rico?" And then the mom's like, "Who knows?"
Any sign of your Uncle Roger? No. Figures.
They probably didn't even realize he was dead for a solid several months after.
Yeah, he was just left
flaky
in some...
as hell. The kills are very secondary, and especially as the series goes on, when Dr. Beck kills, it makes zero sense how he wasn't caught.
No, he gets away with
They're usually just never mentioned again.
This movie,
especially 5, is egregious.
He goes to prison in this movie, but in most movies, he just entirely gets away with it and scampers off.
Oh my gosh, there's some shit to talk about as they get more and more convoluted.
We'll get there. Anyway, Connor, what are your thoughts on the second Stalked by My Doctor?
I think overall, I will say it's a tad better than the first, just because there's more going on. There's still some like kind of creepy like kiss scenes, toned down a bit from the first one. This one has like the kind of what if the doctor married the mom subplot, and this feels like a natural sequel. Like the first movie's strange, and this movie's strange, but it's like haha, Eric Roberts is a creepy borderline pedo. And that's kind of like, that's where the jokes and the funniness comes in for these first two. I do think there's some hokey like acting and cinematography and stuff, as you'd imagine. It's not even worth mentioning. But like, I don't know. It's an expansion of the first and a somewhat natural one. There isn't much to say about the second one. I do think it's a hair better than the first movie, but I think what little there is to cover, like the herpes subplot was really funny, but like, a lot of it's just like mentioned in the plot, and I don't know. It's hard to review this one. I mean, there isn't much to say different from the first one. It suffers from a lot of the same problems. So Aiden, would you recommend Stalked by My Doctor 2, The Return?
It's better than the first, but I think it's more skippable than the first.
Yeah.
We're getting into the good ones. This one, it's an improvement, but it's not such a substantial improvement, and it's not very tied to the lore. Like, there's like one throwaway mention later where he's like, I was married once, and briefly.
Like, the herpes plotline is kind of funny, but like, is it funnier than the dad in the first movie slut shaming the daughter and saying, maybe you fucking deserved it?
No.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, the herpes might be handled slightly funnier.
The funniest part of the movie is literally the last second when he winks at the camera.
Yeah,
which is
that's
saying
just that is the moment. That wink is what made Dr. Beck go from shitty Lifetime villain to Bugs Bunny cartoon character. Because I would say the next several movies, like Dr. Beck gets schizophrenia. There's possible supernatural elements involved.
I think if you're trimming the fat and just watching as few of these movies as possible for some reason, 2 is probably the most skippable. It is better than the first, though. Connor, would you recommend Stalked by My Doctor, The Return?
It definitely has that Die Harder effect. It's Die Hard 2. The first Die Hard was a thing, and the second Die Hard was that thing again. And this is kind of the Die Harder, but also, interestingly, I would say, like, if you were going to watch one Stalked by My Doctor movie, it won't be this one, actually, so fuck it. I don't know what I was going for. It's slightly better than the first one. That's the difference for me. Like, if I had to pick one to watch between 1 and 2, I'd pick 2. I'm not going to recommend it again, but I would say it's slightly better. Actually, I think moment for moment it's more entertaining. I think I got more mileage out of the herpes than the dad. And I know I shouldn't be basing the movie on one dramatic moment, but the herpes is kind of funny to me. Also, him trying to kill the mom. I think the protagonist is better in the first movie.
I like the flashback.
No, I don't recommend either of them.
In one of the later movies, there's a flashback to when he tried to kill the mom, where he's like, I was married once briefly, but they add like this female Wilhelm scream onto her when he's pushing
I think the implication is, I think it was number 4 that did that, or maybe 5.
The flashback makes it look like he killed her.
Yeah, they retconned it so that he killed her, or at least implied. But maybe it's Dr. Beck's mind.
It might be.
This is called Quentin Beck, which is the name of Mysterio. I think I might marginally prefer it over the first movie. Yeah. So, I guess after the second Stalked by My Doctor movie, they decided, I don't know what they decided.
Round up the trilogy.
Dr. Beck returns. They wanted to round out the trilogy with the second one having virtually nothing to do with the first one. But the girl from the first movie comes back and wants to kill Dr. Beck in Stalked by My Doctor 3: Patient's Revenge. So Aiden, what is the plot of Stalked by My Doctor's 3: Patient's Revenge? And I'm so happy I don't have to do the plot for this one.
After the events of the second movie, Dr. Beck gets out of jail. He's found innocent because he fucks one of the women on the jury who's
a fat old woman.
She's a really fat old woman, so the joke is like he took one for the team.
He took one, yep.
He got himself out. And then his old buddy, the dean of a college, hires him to be a professor. And he kind of turns over a new leaf. Kind of.
She deserves it. No, she doesn't. You heard what she said. She said she loved me unconditionally.
Who are you talking to?
She said the past didn't matter, that we had a future together.
Not really, but like he finds one of the girls in his class. He still has sex fantasies and he like follows around taking pictures, but he's not actively trying to kill her or anything, which is kind of a new leaf for him.
It's kind of that trope where it's like, I'm done, I'm retired, but he still has,
he's
that
got
inkling, and then there's a straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah,
so
it's like how in every Lethal Weapon movie, they're like, I'm getting too old for this shit, but they always come back.
My last boyfriend, he was... he was 51.
Really? The girl from the first movie comes to the college.
She's like the John Wick of fucking
and then
18-year-olds.
The woke mob starts canceling him.
Yep.
And they start a bunch of petitions and they call him creepy. And she keeps hiring goons to beat him up.
Yep.
And he starts dating the girl who's into it. And she's like, I really love you, Dr. Beck. We need to get rid of that psycho lady who's trying to murder you because you're innocent. And a lot of stuff goes down. It's just kind of endless. Like, he poisons the girl from the first movie at one point and saves her, and then frames her for being a heroin addict. And then
she tries to kill him and cut his balls off.
She tries to cut his balls off.
And your little friend have been causing all sorts of problems. So you know what I think I'm gonna do?
His 18-year-old girlfriend is like, we should murder her. And she goes and shoots the girl from the first movie and makes her car explode. And Dr. Beck's like, well, all's well that ends well. And then when the police come to interrogate him about
Dr.
the
Beck's
person
like
who...
a 65-year-old man about it, where he's like, I'm gonna read a newspaper and drink some black coffee.
Yep, the police show up to interrogate him about it, and his girlfriend ties herself up and then tells the police that she was kidnapped, and it turns out it was an elaborate scheme where the main character from the first movie's best friend, who we never heard about or saw, who moved away, but they were always best friends, wanted to help her get revenge on Beck by getting plowed by him like 1,000 times.
Yep.
And then they faked her death, and they were gonna flee to Mexico with her. And then Dr. Beck is wanted for murdering her. But then the cops find out that she wasn't murdered at the end, but then they still pursue him for a murder he didn't commit.
Aren't you supposed to be dead?
Well, you see, here's the thing.
And the girls who faked the murder don't get any punishment, and they just go away. And there was an interview that Eric Roberts did where he talked about how the movie was about cancel culture. It's really it's a bizarre series of I almost forgot the most important part. There is a musical number, and it's really bad.
Sparkle in your eyes just makes me stop and stare. But I have to.
Where Eric Roberts and his girlfriend sing.
Eric Roberts just insisted they rip off that one scene from La La Land.
It is that one scene from La La Land.
I haven't seen La La Land, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you've seen the pit, you know what that scene from
One
La La
thing
Land
I almost missed was the introduction of the most important and wonderful character into the series, where Dr. Beck's conscience becomes personified, and he has schizophrenic arguments with him, and it's Eric Roberts holding a margarita in a Hawaiian shirt,
right?
Who's very clearly drunk. Both Eric Roberts are clearly drunk.
These girls are totally wrong for you, man. I don't think so. I think they're just, inexperienced. You are impossible.
But nice Hawaiian shirt Eric Roberts is like, you need to give this life up, man. We could just move to Mexico.
Yeah, and what I don't get is, so you got like stoner Hawaiian shirt type beat Eric Roberts.
Drunk grandpa.
Why isn't his like good angel persona, and of course he gets a horny devil persona later, but we'll talk about that. Why is his good side not just like him in a lab coat being like, we have to believe in HIPAA or whatever? I don't fucking know how you do it, but you would think that would make more sense than Eric Roberts gets fucking hammered and then they take a picture of him in front of a green screen where he's bitching.
Eric Roberts
in a Hawaiian shirt.
Eric Roberts is visibly drunk in both roles.
Oh yeah.
Evil Eric Roberts gets a musical number ripped off La La Land, and drunk Hawaiian shirt Eric Roberts appears in every scene, and they have constant arguments about how much rape Eric Roberts should commit.
Like what?
It's just sheer insanity. It's really something.
Well, yeah, Eric Roberts. It's confirmed that Dr. Beck gets schizophrenia, and he's actually able to basically just say "go away," and then the Hawaiian shirt guy will go away
for a while.
For a while, and his schizophrenia is just cleared for a couple scenes, and then he'll start screaming, and a character will come in and be like, "What are you doing, bro?"
I mean, they say love makes you stupid, but in your case, it's terminal. She loved me, man. I know she did.
Yeah,
hey, big bro.
He's gotten substantially crazier since the. He's gotten substantially crazier since the prior two movies. He had his Bugs Bunny moment at the end of the second movie, but in this movie he's just a raping Looney Tune. He's talking to his alter ego.
They're legal. Let's point out that they're legal. And it's somewhat consensual, especially in number 4. There's an argument to be made that any attack was consensual, technically.
In this one, he literally didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't. Well,
he fucked a girl consensually and got tricked by her.
I mean, it was weird.
He didn't murder anyone.
Weird,
he was a weirdo. He was a fucking weirdo.
But there's nothing
I wouldn't want him on my college campus, but
yeah.
But at the end of this movie, he has to go on the run for a murder he didn't commit that didn't exist.
He did drug the girl.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, he did do that.
He did drug her, but she was trying to kill him.
For the most part,
but
he was mostly innocent. It was self-defense.
I think morally speaking, he wasn't
do
innocent,
anything
but
wrong.
Legally speaking, other than drugging her with a syringe, he was innocent.
He didn't
Free Dr. Beck. That was bullshit. A-cab.
The women should have gone to prison, and Beck should have been allowed to just continue, you know?
Frankly, I mean, based in the eyes of the United States Constitution.
As far as the law is concerned.
As far as the law is concerned, he's exonerated for the numerous kidnappings, assaults, and attempted rapes.
But by the time
attempted murders.
By the time of the next movie, he's exonerated of everything in the first two movies. And by the time this movie rolls around, the only thing they got him on is a fake murder. But then in the fourth one, he's just on the run for that fake murder, so.
Oh,
I don't know. Oh, that's good. That tastes like sweet tarts. But anyway, Connor, what'd you think of the Stalked by My Doctor, Patient's Revenge?
Patient's Revenge is interesting. I kind of hate it.
It's the peak.
No, 4 is the peak. 4 is hard peak.
No.
We'll rank them at the end. But here's the problem with Patient's Revenge. I don't know.
This movie has the best Eric Roberts shenanigans.
That's 4.
It has the horrible music number.
That's 5.
No.
In 5, he lives in an attic. He murders somebody and then pulls her heart in a hospital after knocking out a doctor. Number 5 has the best Eric Roberts shenanigans, and it's more.
This is the only one where he sings a song.
I'm not
And
impressed.
it's the introduction.
Yeah, okay, he wanted to
It's
rip off La La Land. He wanted his Oscar.
It's the introduction.
He deserved his Oscar.
It's the introduction of the best
first
character in the
Lifetime
franchise.
movie to be nominated for Best Picture.
It's the introduction of the best character in the franchise, Eric Roberts too.
Dude, you need to take your pill.
I loved her.
Pill.
I'll give you
even
that.
drunker Eric Roberts.
I'll give you that. Okay, so goth lady from the first movie.
Yeah.
The plot makes no fucking sense.
No, it doesn't. And
So
that's the best part.
So the friends are like, what if we like got him back? Okay, here's the thing. Why don't they just say Eric Roberts moved to Arizona, put on fly out there, go to the college campus, stalk him to his house, shoot the hell out of him, then fly back. Yeah, you got motive, but who's gonna check? You know, who's gonna check that hard that they're crossing state lines? You know, you could have just assassinated Eric Roberts, if I'm being frank, and that would be a lot easier than, okay, you're my best friend. You got to take one for the team, get in a sexual relationship with a 65-year-old pervert.
You can do anything at ASU.
It wasn't Arizona College. It really could have been ASU, which then it would make all sense because they got the finger fucking.
Eric Roberts actually got it this time around dozens of times.
She loves me. She loves you. Damn right she does.
Yeah, no, Eric Roberts got everything he wanted in this movie. He was getting laid every day, but little did he know that girl was a double agent doing what she needed so then the plan was then they were gonna fly home and fake her death by planting C4 in the car.
Yes.
And then she was gonna like do a switch.
Yeah.
And they got a cadaver. They stole a body from the morgue, and then she snuck into the police station to change the records. Like, how the fuck? The movie doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it's written by a crazy person, but not in a good. I mean, it's fine. There's parts that are really funny. There are parts that are really funny, but I'm like, I don't know. I just thought 4 was so solid in the whole idea. Everything about 4 was perfect.
I mean, 4
Number
good,
3, I think you're giving it a little too much. I think you're overrating it a bit here.
You need to take your pill.
No.
I think 3 had some funny moments, like when Eric Roberts gets tied up in the backyard and she starts doing testicular torture on him.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll admit,
There's so many good moments.
I'll give it to you. The testicular torture was pretty funny.
The reveal of Hawaiian shirt Eric Roberts, where he's taking pictures of her.
Hawaiian shirt Eric Roberts is good. He's the best character in the franchise.
Yeah, but I love the initial reveal where he's taking pictures of the girl, and then Eric Roberts turns around.
She's over and whoring us right now.
Hawaiian shirt Eric Roberts is behind him. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And then Hawaiian shirt Eric Roberts is like clearly sloshed, and he's like, you shouldn't be doing that, bucko.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many good moments.
Well,
and then,
number 4 has the best Eric Roberts Hawaiian shirt moments. Like when he's like, there she is, bucko. She wants to fuck you, bucko.
That's true.
But we'll get
also,
to
the
all
bizarre
that.
cancel culture plot is... it's so weird.
Okay, so what do? The first 2 movies, Eric Roberts has unfestered access. And they hired real 18-year-olds for these roles. Like, these girls are disgustingly, obviously, still teenagers. And Eric Roberts is just tongue-fucking these girls on camera.
Oh, yeah.
It's gross. Cancel culture made it so this movie, he couldn't get too nasty with it.
Yeah, so
I mean, the girl...
They had to make a deep
The girl in the
commentary
movie is
about that.
obviously, like, 22, 23 that he's making out with. And it's like, you know...
This movie's
not great, but
this
at
movie's
least,
about
you know,
things, you know. It's like Citizen Kane, you know. It's about things. It
Yeah,
has a
they
deep
do.
political
They
message.
do have a thing where they like cancel Dr. Beck. The cancel Dr. Beck. That was on the cutting edge when they made that plot. They're like, Harvey Weinstein's gonna get off. I don't know what they were thinking there.
Have you seen how many students signed the petition?
No.
Over 1,000.
Man.
I don't need this kind of publicity, Al. If our donors find out about this, they're gonna pull my budget.
Do you think there was some pervert doctor who stalked his patients who saw one of these movies? And it was like when William Randolph Hearst saw Citizen Kane, he was like, I am nothing like that. That's ridiculous.
Yes. Yes. I I feel
really
like
funny.
even if you're a murderer, you could watch a movie about Ted Bundy and be like, yeah, but it's so much different when
I
I
always
killed
like-
those 20 people.
Off topic, but I always liked that William Randolph Hearst really liked Citizen Kane. The only thing he got butthurt about was that it made his girlfriend look like a whore.
The movie.
It was like, it's
What
a
can you
great
say?
movie besides the fact that they really made my girlfriend look like a whore.
Hey, I mean, he was standing up for his girlfriend, which, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, the only reason she had a career was because he paid for her to have one. He better stand
Who
up
was
for
his
her.
girlfriend?
She was like some no-name actress that he couldn't legally marry because his wife wouldn't divorce him. And so they just lived together until he died, but he like paid for her to have a Hollywood career. And then it came out that he paid for her to have a Hollywood career, and she turned into an alcoholic, and then for some reason she just stayed with him until he died of old age. And then she just moved on with her life. And no,
I feel
actually, right after he died, she married like another 70-year-old man. But she didn't take any money from him.
You know
Like,
a lot about William Randolph Hearst's
William
wife,
Randolph-
You don't know her name, but...
William Randolph Hearst left everything to her in
Okay,
his
but
will.
when were you looking up all this shit about him?
I got curious.
When?
He left. He
Were
left
you
every-
watching Citizen Kane the other day?
He left everything to her in his will, and then she
We're
was like, "No, I
After
don't
Dark
want it." and
now.
gave it
We're
to
doing
his
After
family.
Dark now.
She just gave it all to his
That was
family because she didn't
intentional.
want his money. She actually liked him. Anyway,
Oh,
that's
well,
off
that's,
topic.
that's
but-
really sweet, I guess.
Yeah, it's a.
I would have
it's an
still maybe
odd
kept,
little
like,
story, but-
maybe I would have shared more. Like, I wouldn't have taken it all, but I feel like I still would have maybe taken, like, a few bucks.
Well, she found a new sugar daddy right after, so that was all good.
Maybe she just wanted a sugar daddy, but she didn't want the responsibility of having
Owning
that
all
sugar
his
daddy
magazines
money
and
without
whatnot.
sugar daddy. I don't know. It was the 40s or something. All right, Aiden, what do you? We'll pass it to you.
I
This is
love
something-
this one. This is my favorite by far. Hands down, my favorite. It's just sheer insanity. When I first saw this one, maybe it's just because it's the beginning of the insanity. The first two movies are fairly grounded, relatively. And this one is just a complete 180 on that and goes off the rails. The reveal of Hawaiian shirt Eric Roberts knocked me off my feet.
Yeah.
The musical number is just awful. It's incredibly awful.
I don't know why he was like, we gotta do La La Land.
Yeah, and Eric
You know
Roberts
Eric
cannot
Roberts watched
sing. Like,
that.
the girl's a pretty good singer, but
Yeah.
Eric Roberts is just doing, like, talk singing where he's like, we're so in love.
Yeah, you know that Eric Roberts is like, let's do that, and then
And also he's
like,
too
and
old
he
to
was
dance,
singing
so he
to
just,
the
like,
girl, and
shuffles
she's like, I
around.
was in like the church choir for 3 weeks before I ruined my life and got in a Lifetime movie where where I had to make out with some 65-year-old man.
I criticized 2 for having a kind of convoluted plot, but I think this movie's plot is convoluted in a good way, where it's just like sheer nonsense to put Beck in funny situations. With the funny situations being like he gets canceled, and then there's like this elaborate scheme that makes no sense where the childhood friend is there, and she's never mentioned or brought up in the first movie. Like, it's all just sheer insanity. And that's what I want. It's Arthur Beck.
I don't think
Albert
he has
Beck.
a first. Albert. That's his first name.
Albert Beck is just, he's like the Bugs Bunny of committing rape.
He doesn't really, but he
he's
doesn't
this
really rape.
wacky little
He
guy.
never. The problem is kind of like he's more like Daffy Duck because he's a Looney Tune, but he never really hits his objective. The
Well, he
only
did in
one,
this movie.
Yeah, but it was given to him. It was part of the trap, you know. She was fucking him out of vindictively fucking.
Yeah,
him.
he doesn't really do anything evil in this movie in a relative sense, because
especially I think
like he fights back in self-defense, but the whole thing is just like this big scheme to catch him, which is really odd because this movie's like some bizarre, according to Eric Roberts, this movie's like some bizarre commentary on cancel culture. It's all so fucking strange that I can't help but love it.
No.
I think this is the most fun one by far.
I think
every single aspect of it is so fucking weird. and just batshit compared to the first two that it is such a jarring transition to go from the first two to this. And also it has the introduction of the man who carries the franchise with Hawaiian Beck. Connor, would you recommend Patience Revenge?
No. It's my least favorite one.
You're crazy, dude. You're crazy.
No, okay, there's moments in this one. There's moments.
You're
But
crazy.
it's like, okay, there's some moments. Can I recommend any of these movies, really? I think there's one movie I would recommend in this franchise, and it ain't this one. So I'm gonna go with no. Aiden, would you recommend Stalked by My Doctor 3, Patience Revenge?
Absolutely. This is my favorite one. This, whatever is going on, Eric Roberts is wasted on all fronts.
Well, I'm wasted
He's
on all
playing two
fronts,
characters. The story is just sheer insanity. It's a roller coaster. It's a lifetime roller coaster starring Eric Roberts.
Nothing wrong with that.
I love it. I wholeheartedly recommend Patience Revenge.
Stalked by my freaking little boy doctor.
Anyway, that brings us to Stalked by My Doctor 4 Sleepwalker's Nightmare. Which is a crossover with another Lifetime series.
It's kind of like a cinematic universe.
Yeah, there's a whole Lifetime cinematic universe that centers on, like, they have.
But I don't know if there's any other movies.
No,
but
there's
these two.
the college that they keep mentioning in this one that she was supposed to go to, not the Arizona one, is apparently like a common thing in the Lifetime movies where like anytime a character goes to college, they go to that one college. So all these take place in a shared universe. Like a lot of Lifetime movies.
But that college was not going to hire Eric Roberts. But I'm sure there's like Stalked by My Rapist ass teacher or whatever.
I'm sure there is.
The teacher gets cancer, then he's also getting addicted to porn or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
What scares old women?
Because I'm gonna be a doctor. And you're an embarrassment to my profession. You shouldn't have said that.
That's what the movies are usually.
But yeah, this is a crossover with some series called like I'm a Sleepwalker or something, or like Sleepwalker in Dreams or something.
Sleepwalker, horny.
I don't know. I had sex in my sleep. Whatever the fuck it's called.
Big booty Sleepwalker with 60 feet.
Whatever the Sleepwalker movie is called is a crossover with that. And Connor, what is the plot of the Sleepwalker one?
This girl is addicted to sex in her sleep, and it's revealed that she cheated on her husband while she was sleeping because she's so addicted to sex, and then she got pregnant, and then her husband murdered the person who she had sex with in her sleep, and then framed her. So then her husband got arrested after they realized she wasn't framed. So she goes to Dr. Beck, who decided that since he couldn't be a doctor, he was going to kill a guy so that he could take over being a sleep therapist. So then he's doing a sleep study on this woman, and she's like 30 to early 30s. And Eric Roberts is like, I'm gonna get my dick wet, but you know, something's kind of messed up with her, and it's the fact that she's elderly as hell.
Yep.
And then she's like, I might be 32, but I'm just so happy that I have an 18-year-old daughter who also sleepwalks. Niece. My 18-year-old niece who has no parents, and has a thing where when she sleepwalks, all the boys have been gangbanging her at college because she'll do whatever the boys tell her to do while she's sleepwalking. And then Eric Roberts goes, oh, that's unfortunate. Maybe you could get her in here for a sleep thing. But anyway, so then he meets the niece, then he starts stalking her, you know, the normal stuff. He's like going and giving her free lunch or whatever.
The titular stalked.
So then he's stalking her, and then her boyfriend shows up, who's a pre-famed Matt Rife, who's that TikTok hunk comedian that's not that funny, but he's very, looks very handsome. He looks like one of the dudes from ancient Greece who put some olive oil on his little butthole and just smash, you know. But anyway, so Matt Rife is there, and then Matt Rife gets thrown down the stairs by Eric Roberts because he's convinced. Because what he does is he tricks her, the sleepwalking niece, the 18-year-old niece, to elaborate, to text Matt Rife that he wants to meet her at the parking garage for some reason, and not just her house. So then he pushes Matt Rife down the stairs so that he can have sex with the sleepwalking woman. But then he realizes the problem with the sleepwalking girl is that she is a sleepwalking woman of an aunt who wants to fuck everybody in her sleep, but is far too old for 67-year-old Eric Roberts. So what he does is he says, what if I had sleepwalking 18-year-old kill sleepwalking aunt? And that's what he does. But then she changes her, but then the aunt uses the power of love to tell her not to. And then Eric Roberts is like, but then he sends the sleepwalking aunt to Arkham Asylum.
I never said thank you.
For Batman in the 1930s in the Arkham, and then the two guys are gonna gangbang her in the asylum, but she was faking being asleep to pretend that she was ready to have sex.
He also stabs the head of the hospital.
Right.
Because she discovers that he's Arthur.
God. I'm just missing whole segments of this movie. Yeah, so he kills the head nurse or like a colleague of the guy he already killed. And then he frames the aunt, and he's like, "Well, that'll get rid of
Sends
her."
her to Arkham Asylum.
Sends her to Arkham Asylum, and then he reaches out to go to Arkham Asylum, and then he's like, "I'm going to lobotomize you with a car battery," but then he convinces she breaks out by beating the hell out of the two guards that are gonna gangbang her, but then he's also getting stalked because he has a stalker, but I wasn't paying attention for like 2 minutes, or I was taking a piss or something, but I think Lin-Manuel, whatever the guy from Hamilton is the actual actor in there, maybe not, but Hamilton is in the movie stalking him, and then it turns out he's like his horny imaginary friend. He's so horny. He's so evil and horny, and he just wants Eric Roberts to get laid, and then you got Hawaiian Shirt Eric, who's like, dude, you're being dumb, and then in the middle you got Eric Roberts, who's like, I just want people to love me. Like, this is where they kind of add a plot point where, like, Eric Roberts isn't here just to have sex with 18-year-olds, to elaborate. Dr. Beck is bad for trying to have relationships with young girls, but it's not because he's a pervert. Not sexual pervert, just a normal pervert.
Yeah,
and I think there's
Lin-Manuel Miranda is his evil spirit that tells him to have sex.
Writer of so many songs from Moana.
Yep, and Hawaiian Shirt Beck at one point just gives in this movie too. He's like, you know what, this is a good plan. And then actually,
yeah,
and then later
a couple
he's
times
like,
it looks like it's working out. I think Hawaiian Shirt Beck is just a pussy. I don't think.
Yeah, he's the coward Beck.
I don't think he's got any
not good
moral problems with what Beck is doing. I think he's just kind of a pussy.
He's a coward, yeah.
Because at times, if it's going good for Beck, then he's all in. Like, he doesn't have any.
No.
You would think there would maybe.
No, he's not the good guy.
He's not the good guy.
He's just the one. He's just the coward.
Maybe he's not the coward. He's just too chill. He's like, bruh. Yeah, that's what he says. He's the type of Beck that would be at a bingo palace. But anyways, so anyhow, at the end of the day, Beck gets away, and they're like, "Well, we'll never see him again." The audience
he gets sent to Arkham Asylum.
Oh wait, no, fuck! I'm mixing up the movies again. Beck gets arrested, and he goes to Arkham Asylum to be lobotomized. The end. So Aiden, what did you think of Stalked by My Doctor, Sleepwalker's Nightmare?
Sleepwalker's Nightmare.
What that doesn't feel right.
Pretty fucking good. You get a lot more of the best character in the series, Hawaiian Beck. He's in like every scene, constantly getting in fights with Beck, and Beck more openly just screeches at him in every scene. Like in the last movie, it was kind of a thing he did in private. He didn't do it in front of people. In this movie, he's just fully gone. He's arguing with Hawaiian shirt Beck in front of people, and people are like, dude, what the fuck? I don't know how I feel about horny devil Beck, who looks like Lin-Manuel Miranda. I don't know if he adds anything too much, but I do like the twist reveal where, even though it's really obvious, Beck pieces together that it's just another Beck, and he's like, damn, that's crazy, man. But the Sleepwalkers are fun characters. They both have their own sleepwalking gimmick. The opposed sleepwalking gimmick, where one's the dominant sleepwalking sex addict and one's the submissive sleepwalking sex addict. And Beck's just in the middle, man. He's just doing what he can. The Arkham Asylum scenes are really funny. It reminds me of Malignant, where even though Malignant takes place in the modern day, but like 20 years ago you were in this mental hospital and there's like 1930s wooden wheelchairs all over the place.
Or Morbius.
Morbius too.
Morbius did the same thing where he's in the 1930s polio clinic and then all of a sudden it's 2022 or whatever.
Yeah. It's just like this ratty, disgusting Arkham Asylum place where there's like shit and dirt and blood all over the walls, and she's in like a dirty gown.
Like, we're gonna fucking lobotomize you.
And then Beck ends up there too, and the doctor's like, I'm gonna kill Hawaiian shirt Beck and horny devil Beck, and he's like, oh no. Yeah, there's a lot of fun moments. It's definitely not the sheer insanity that 3 is.
We don't have any anesthetic. I'm gonna go nice and slow so you feel everything. No!
This movie is semi-coherent and doesn't have a really awful musical number, even though Lin-Manuel Miranda's here and could have pounded one out. Could have pounded out a Hamilton banger, you know? Get us a Eric Roberts rap song.
He should have said, it's
like
1943. I was born and my name is Eric Roberts.
I wanna fuck that 18-year-old.
People could take that clip and make it look really bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's true of a lot of things we've said before.
Yeah, but in context, we're always completely absolved.
In context.
In context, you just gotta have that.
In context. In the context of Michael Bay's racism, the Transformers clip makes sense. Beck gets his second kill.
I think he gets his second and third.
Because he just stabs the lady in the back.
Does he kill the guy he impersonates, I think? Yeah, maybe. I think he chokes him out, right?
He stabs him with a
needle. Because he figures out
I guess he must have died, because he doesn't show up.
Because then the
Asian
Asian guy's like, can I have the ID? And he's already got the fake ID in hand or whatever.
Yeah. Also, at the start of the scene, he's working in like a fucking truck stop kitchen as a busboy for some reason. Lots of Eric Roberts shenanigans. Especially lots of good moments with Hawaiian Beck, just being like, there's an ongoing bet between Eric Roberts and normal Eric Roberts, where if Eric Roberts can't fuck the sleepwalking chick, then he has to buy Hawaiian Eric Roberts unlimited margaritas or something.
Which don't even make sense. But I think he is schizophrenic. Like, Dr. Beck doesn't know that there's not a second him.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just like, if this doesn't work out, I'm just going to become an alcoholic on the beach and drink margaritas all day, and you can take over. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, it's fun. It's a little wacky, but more sensible than the last one. It's good stuff. Connor, what'd you think of Sleepwalker's Nightmare?
Sleepwalker's Nightmare is the best movie in this franchise, hands down. It's great from the start. I mean, you got the aunt who wants to just... I think the setup is good. I like the idea. It feels like a crossover. I also like that Dr. Beck has officially transitioned into the main character without any pretense. This is the first one.
No, the Sleepwalkers
There's two
are
movies,
not the main character.
The Sleepwalker and the next one, which is more of a standard. We'll get to it. But the thing about this movie is Dr. Beck is the main character now. There's no bullshit. There's no... I felt uncomfortable by Dr. Beck. No, Dr. Beck is out here to do what Dr. Beck does, and the supporting character is Dr. Beck in a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah,
and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
As far as the framing of the movie is concerned, Dr. Beck is the protagonist.
Exactly.
And the sleepwalking women are the antagonists.
Dr. Beck catches actually 3 bodies in this movie because he also kills Matt Rife. He kills famous comedian Matt Rife.
Yep.
He kills the doctor and he kills the doctor, secretary, nurse, woman. He killed one person in the first 3 movies. This movie, he becomes somewhat of a slasher character. He's still horny. He's the main character. Lots happens. And him going to Arkham Asylum and her going to Arkham Asylum. The girl is kind of like, you know, whatever. Same shit as always. It's just some lady. Dr. Beck wants to fuck. I don't know. I just think, like, in terms of, like, funniness, I got some mileage out of the sleepwalking stuff and Dr. Beck.
You're right.
I also like the idea, because Dr. Beck, at many points, they're like, what is this gonna do, doctor? And then he's like, well, I'll have my nurse explain it to you. And then the Asian guy has to, like, explain something about sleep studies. Like, in universe, Dr. Beck isn't, like, some savant that knows sleep studies. He's really poorly faking it. He's really poorly faking it, and this is where Dr. Beck starts winging it super hard. The first 2 movies, he gets lucky and he's just kind of a stalker.
There's also a lot of scenes in this one.
He's like, what the fuck is going on? He's being manipulated to, like, ruin his reputation.
There's a lot of scenes in this one where he's like, why don't you just leave me alone with the patient? I'm going to make out with her for a while.
Yeah, he'll be like, why don't...
somewhere else.
Like, the nurse, at one point, he's doing a sleep study, and the nurse is like, I was scheduled for all night. Are you sure I can go home? Like, motherfucker, you don't cut the night nurse, you know? Like, Dr. Beck can't just be like, go home, buddy. Take a night off. That's not how that fucking works. I'm not in the medical field. I cannot imagine he could just be like, dude, you're cut. Well, I'll put you down for 8 hours, you're cut, man.
Yeah,
don't worry, I'm not going to rape all the patients.
It's not like cutting the salad guy.
Yeah, like, he can't just cut, you know, it's not like working at a restaurant being like, dude, there ain't no people ordering salads this time of night. Go home, bro. Enjoy your night, dude. Smoke a bowl. You know, that's not what's happening here. This is a medical professional, and he's like, bro, you're cut. I'm definitely not going to rape these girls. I don't know why I would need the pretense that. Why are you even making me say that, dog? Dude, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, of course, sure, whatever. But, like, come on now.
The twist of him getting stalked is pretty fun, too.
He isn't getting stalked. There's a double twist.
It's as a mensch. He
thinks he's getting stalked, and he's like, God damn it, I'm getting stalked. I know these moves because it's what I would make. And then Lin-Manuel Miranda is just his other persona, which I also think, like, I don't even understand that twist. Why would you even write that into the movie? What's the point?
There isn't one.
There isn't one. But, like, okay, so he's got one imaginary friend that's just Lin-Manuel Miranda from Hamilton, and
who's just as evil as he is on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, but then also you got, he's like the evil angel, but then you also got you in a Hawaiian shirt who's
drunker than hell.
Might be the good guy.
Kind of. Kind of.
I can't
in a relative sense.
I can't believe it. That's all I'll say. Hey, would you recommend Stalked by My Doctor?
Sleepwalker's Nightmare is pretty fun. It's my second favorite. It's very solid. This one and the prior one together are basically all you need. They're the 2 unhinged ones. Yeah, they're this one pretty fucking good. It's a lot of fun. It's stupider than hell. There's lots of Eric Roberts shenanigans. It's a good time. Connor, would you recommend Sleepwalker's Nightmare?
Hell fucking yeah. This is the only one I'll recommend to you. The only one of the 5 I'll recommend. This movie's great.
You're so mean to patients with them.
This is the one that I love. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion. Stalked by My Doctor went through many phases, but for Stalked by My Doctor 5, they actually decided to drop the Stalked by My Doctor title, and this movie is just known as Just What the Doctor Ordered.
For my help, yes?
Well, yes, absolutely. And I have no doubt that you can help me. It's just I don't like people poking around in my head.
Well, but on some streaming services,
comes up,
Stalked by My Doctor 5 and like small
when
ones.
the title comes up, it's still Stalked by My
But
Doctor.
legally speaking, I don't know who
Yeah.
legally is, but Letterboxd says it is Just What the Doctor Ordered.
Yeah, it's weird.
Whatever, who cares? So Aiden, what's the plot, bro? What happened?
At the start of the movie, the Arkham Asylum burns down, and like the Joker, Eric Roberts escapes. But unfortunately, Hawaiian-shirt Eric Roberts and Lin-Manuel Miranda died in the fire. Eric Roberts hides out in an abandoned house and lives in the attic.
Like Parasite, you'd think.
Like Parasite.
You'd hope.
And then a family moves in. And he's like, damn, that sucks. But the family has a hot 18-year-old daughter that he starts stalking.
Who would have known?
Who happens
but it's not
to
a
have,
family because the mom's a widow
the dad's
again.
dead. But,
as always.
But the girl has a heart condition, and she passes out, and he calls the police to save her, and then murders her nurse and takes over the role of the nurse.
No, she had an accident. She tripped. She fell.
So that he can be.
But the nurse is a woman.
Her nurse. And then he starts stalking her, and his big plan is to find someone who has a matching heart so that he can steal their heart and put it in her so she doesn't die of her heart condition. Kind of what you think of Just What the Doctor Ordered. A
Okay.
Stalked by My Doctor story.
Look, here's the thing. I have loved this movie. I'm actually going to recommend this one too. Spoiler alert. Shut up. Okay, so here's what happens about it. Here's my thing. So you got this 18-year-old, and she is stalked by her doctor. She's got a heart condition. There's actually like some level of an arc to her. Probably more than the other girls, but
I guess
like
so,
not impressively so. But the thing I like about this movie is that Dr. Beck, I mean, I don't even know if Dr. Beck really wants to fuck her, dude. Like, kinda. But he's kind of got other shit going on. Because Dr. Beck is the main character, and his real goal is to find someone to kill to get a heart for her so that maybe he can start stalking her or whatever.
He's like a tragic villain, like the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, his first goal is to save her, and then he can start stalking her.
I could never hurt you, Alex. I'm here to save you.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like a couple scenes where he's like, damn, I could really have sex with her for being 18 or whatever. I mean, not because she's 18, but just, you know, it was like a happy accident.
After
you know?
I fulfill my medical oath and save her.
Yeah. So he's trying to fulfill his medical oath, and his play is to kill. So the first thing he does is he seduces like a 25-year-old, obviously too old for him.
Fucking
but then he gets really scared because she's the lead detective.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm the lead detective in the doctor stalking division or whatever. And he's like, oh boy,
That's bad.
but then he goes away. So then he's gonna kill a therapist, and then the therapist gets smoked by a truck and obliterated.
Prepare to go to jail for the rest of your life, you son of a...
And he says, well, I guess that art won't work.
Yeah.
So she was like a rare blood type or something, so he's like, this is hard. But then he ends up, he's like, well, she's gonna die, but then he's like, I guess I'll do some passive stalking on the side. Like, you know, we're kind of trying
Just
to think
for
of the next
funsies,
steps now that the therapist got hit by a truck. So he's stalking, then he finds out the boyfriend has the compatible blood type, so he's gonna do like some like And there's a scene where the two of them are on the operating table, the boyfriend and the girl who's dying of a heart attack or whatever. And it reminds me of Andy Warhol's The Blood of Dracula. No, Flesh for Frankenstein. Because there'd be some naked bitches getting their titties cut off.
Yeah.
But that's in the Andy Warhol movie. In this movie, that doesn't happen. They're fully clothed. And he's going to transplant their hearts. And Eric Roberts is not Andy Warhol. But what happens is, so anyways...
The mom pieces it together.
The mom pieces it together and saves them. But then the cop is coming... The cop who he was trying to bang, who's on the head of the Stalker Doctor Committee of detectives... And
they realize at the same time that they're looking for the same
They're
man.
tackling each other. They're fighting over the gun. You don't see who dies. Turns out the detective dies, and then they give a heart transplant. So my favorite scene in the movie is you're like, oh, good, she's going to get a heart transplant because the detective died, you know. It's Eric Roberts' fault, but, like, you can't let the heart go to waste, so it's justified, and it's all good.
A tad more anesthesia.
Yes, doctor. Please, someone help me.
But then the doctor is somehow Dr. Beck, and it's revealed that on this case where a heart surgeon murdered the donor and the donut was stalked.
I don't think they're called donuts.
Donut is being stalked by a heart doctor. They're going to have no security. So then he beats the shit out of the real doctor, and he takes his place.
Yeah,
then he does the change, and then Dr. Beck hitchhikes with a
he rides off
trucker.
into the sunset.
He can give you a lobotomy at the next stop.
Shut up.
Well, here we go.
But he doesn't like assault her or anything. He just does the heart transplant, and then he takes off.
Yeah.
Because he's wanted for killing a police officer. And that's kind of where we leave Dr. Beck. I think the thing I like about it is, like, this movie, much like 4, is, like, a lot of shit happened. Dr. Beck is the main character. It makes zero fucking sense, but it's really funny. I think the problem with 3 is they still tried to push that main character a little too much.
Yeah,
I think the problem with the initial trilogy is that they really wanted to, like... Dr. Beck is a personality. He was selling the movies. And the fact that it took them to part 4 to realize that we should just follow this guy. He should be doing more killing. He should be a little more creepy. There should be more scenes with his imaginary friends. Him in a Hawaiian shirt and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Well, this movie doesn't have enough of his imaginary friends.
Right, because this movie was somewhat back to basics, which is why I do think it ranks under 4.
Yeah.
But I still think, like...
Hawaiian Beck dies in the fire, but then in the last scene where he's hitchhiking away, Hawaiian Beck is back.
3 and 4 are the crazy ones. 5 tries to perhaps... takes a half step back towards the first 2 movies.
6:30's perfect. Thank you.
Are you sure that this is a good idea?
Why wouldn't it be?
But I do think if we're talking the more grounded, and I use double quotation marks when I say that, but like if we're talking the less schizophrenic of the Stalked by My Doctor series, I think 5 has to be my favorite one. There's a lot of good stuff. Now, I'm not saying like the herpes arc from 2 or the maybe you shouldn't address like a slut arc from part 1 should be totally discounted in the ranking process. But I think as a whole, for the more standard Stalked by My Doctor fare, I think 5 is the best one. So Aiden, what did you think of Stalked by My Doctor Part 5, but not take all that out because it's just called Just What the Doctor Ordered?
You're right. There's a lot of Beck shenanigans. Him almost fucking the cop is shenanigans.
Oh, what's with the handcuffs, bro?
The lawyer.
Oh, I'm on the Stalked Doctor committee of
the lawyer. The lawyer getting smoked by the truck is really funny because it comes out of nowhere.
So stupid. They're like, well, how do we get rid of this character now? And they're like, we gets hit by a truck.
Yeah, he's literally.
We don't need him for a second scene.
He's in like 4 scenes back to back where it's like Beck goes to the therapist and the therapist is like,
"You're crazy.
You're crazy,
stupid asshole."
Don't manifest into anything more physical.
And then Beck knocks him out and takes him to the hospital, and then he just runs in front of a truck.
Okay,
and
I
dies.
also think 3 through 5 are definitely meta. 1 and 2 take the process very seriously. I think 5 is like a meta take on the first 2 movies, where 3 and 4 are just kind of weird.
Yeah, there's definitely
expansions. This movie's strictly meta.
Definitely a lot more killing, and Beck is the central focus, as he should be. The twist ending where he's the heart surgeon and then he just rides off into the sunset like the Lone Ranger's really funny. Really, my criticism is that I don't think they should have killed off Hawaiian Beck. His big return in the final scene is cool, where he just like shows back up and he's like, "Well, I guess it's time for us to ride out onto our next adventure, cowboy." He's just like Tonto from the Lone Ranger. He's like, "It's time for us to get along, Lone Ranger, and find our next adventure." But he should have been in the whole movie.
No, I know.
It gets kind of lonely without Hawaiian Beck, but Beck does have a lot of good shenanigans, especially with the therapist.
Or like Kato and the Green Hornet.
They're the same thing, yeah. Green Hornet is just modern day Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
Literally.
Actually, it's literal spin-off of the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
But then their rights got sold separately, so whatever, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got moments. If I could go back and make some changes, I would have just shoved Hawaiian Beck in there too, to be someone for Beck to play off of consistently, but I am pretty happy with the end result as the grounded part of the latter section of Stalked by My Doctor.
It's like the ideal. I think it almost synchronizes Stalked by My Doctor, because 1 and 2 are like too grounded and Dr. Beck is a little too shy to be what the Dr. Beck character is. 3 and 4 define the Dr. Beck character into something really funny, but forgot about the concept. So when you kind of merge it all together, like they did with this part, chef's kiss.
I like the also the police officer eventually dying and giving her heart over when that was his original plan.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
And then him just busting in. The other guy could have just done the heart transplant. There was no reason for him to do that beyond
No.
just like the ego of the situation.
You would think, I don't know why, like maybe he was like gonna keep stalking her, but then we see he takes off.
Yeah.
He had no point to do the heart transfer. Maybe he just kind of felt bad.
Also, his final conversation with the truck driver is really funny and meta, where he's like, "Oh, you're running away because of a broken heart," and he's like, "Something like that," and then Hawaiian Beck's like, "I guess you could say that."
Ask him if he has any teenage daughters. Just thinking ahead.
Hawaiian Beck's
when Hawaiian Beck finally shows up, it's great. The movie definitely could have just shoved him in there, even though it would have made the movie more schizophrenic.
I wish they never stopped, because I feel like by now we'd have some shit where like Hawaiian Beck comes through the multiverse or something.
Yeah, who knows? For some reason, Patience Revenge is the last
That's my
one
bitch.
currently.
Lifetime, give me some money.
Oh, there was a several year gap between 3 and 4, so there's always a chance that it comes back, but we haven't seen it in a number
it's
of
like
years.
2015, 16, 17, then like 20.
It was like 21 and 22, or 20 and 21. So there's a couple years off.
I think it'd come back. Writer's strikes probably what got it, because these movies are union.
Oh yeah.
These are like the girls are kissing Eric Roberts to get their SAG cards. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They got to do what they got to do.
Yeah, I would love to see the series make a return. It's never too late. There's been a lot of funny developments in the real life sphere that they can play off of. You know, Beck becomes president. I don't know.
That would be good.
That'd be good.
And then he pardons himself for all past crime. People are trying to impeach him for being horny for 18-year-olds, so then he pardons himself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe
or maybe
I don't know. There's shit to do.
Or maybe like next time we see Beck, he's like fighting in the war in Ukraine.
Why? How the fuck would that have happened? Why would Beck go to Ukraine? Maybe he's stalking
He's
like a
fleeing
girl.
America.
Okay, Ukrainian
He's
girl
wanted in
is
Mexico,
on
he's wanted-
vacation. No, it's too late for that. I think it's too late for that.
Yeah.
Unless you did a period piece of like 2022.
Yeah. I don't
The
know.
Lost Years, Dr. Beck, The Lost Years.
Dr.
That seems like
Beck
more
goes to
like, okay, you're like
space.
Dr. Beck 6 or whatever, and it cuts open to him, he's in a war.
Stalked by my Dr. X, and he gets frozen in a cryogenic pod and gets put on a space station.
Okay, Lifetime,
And
I
he's
don't
the only
care
doctor alive.
how, you know, I don't care how, like, spine-shuddering these movies are. If you can sign Eric Roberts, which I'm sure you can, I know you can. You can.
You definitely can.
0% chance you can't. Stalked by My Doctor 6 in space. I am offering to make the movie.
Yeah, I'll write it.
I'm not union. I don't need a SAG card. You can pay me like shit. I just want to make Dr. Beck on a green screen floating around, lusting after girls that are a third of his daughter's
And then in
age.
the end, just like in Leprechaun in Space and Jason X, he gets sucked into the airlock.
I mean, something's gonna happen.
Leprechaun?
Oh yeah, he gets his asshole sucked out through that.
Leprechaun in Space and Jason X are so uncannily similar that it's insane.
Yeah, because they're both shitty alien clones.
Yeah, but it's weird that they came out like 4 years apart. Anyway, Connor, would you recommend the final entry in the Stalked by My Doctor franchise, Doctor's Orders?
Fuck yeah. Okay. 4 and 5 are great. You can pretty much skip the rest of the series. That's my opinion. I'm sticking by it. Aiden, do you recommend this one?
I'm giving it a yes. I like the entire latter half of the trilogy, 3, 4, and 5. 3 is my pick. It's the most unhinged, but 4 and 5 definitely have a lot of good moments. 5 just needed more.
Oh, Curtis,
more
thank you
Hawaiian
for
Beck.
jumping right on my little
And
bladder.
Connor's about to die, so we'll wrap it up here.
Okay, but anyways, I'm gonna rank the movies. 4, 5, 2, 3, 1. Aiden, your turn.
3, 4, 5, 2, 1.
So anyways, that was 10 years of NTMA Productions, 1/10 of a century. Anyways, we're all just mortal, and NTMA Productions has been around way too long.